Good day, everyone, and welcome to the UFC conference call. Today's conference is being recorded. At this time, for opening remarks and introductions, I would like to turn the conference over to Mr. Dave Schaller. Please go ahead.
Thanks, Kim.
What kind of lead-in music was that, Dave? Was that something that from Michael Bisping's soundtrack or something? What was that crap you were just playing there?
It was something to wake us up after you just bored us. Dave Schaller from the UFC. We're going to get right into it. Live on Fox, Rashad, Phil, Chael, Bisping, Maia, Weidman. Kim, let's get right into the questions.
Thank you. If you do have a question today, please press star 1 on your touch-tone telephone. If you are using a speakerphone, please make sure your mute function is turned off to allow your signal to reach our equipment. Once again, press star 1 to ask a question, and we'll pause for just a moment. Our first question today is from Franklin McNeil from ESPN.com.
So my first question is for Rashad Evans. Rashad, obviously you're looking forward to facing Phil. It's a big fight for you, but obviously hovering over this fight is the possibility with the victory that you'll face John Jones. What is that? How are you making sure that that potential fight, in no way interferes with this one?
I didn't even know that was a possibility. I didn't even get the news. I didn't hear that. No, I'm just I mean...
Why are you mess with me, man?
Nah, you know what? Honestly, when it comes down to it, this is my title fight right here. I can't look past Phil in any shape or form. So the whole John Jones talk and what could potentially happen if I win this fight or whatever, it really don't matter. You know what I'm saying? It really doesn't matter. Everything is contingent upon my performance next week, and that's the only thing that I can even think of right now is my performance next week.
And my next question is for Phil. Phil, we all know what type of wrestler you are. You're an A-list wrestler. There have been questions about your stand-up. Is that something you've worked on to improve? And is it possible we could see some of that work that you've done in this fight to improve your stand-up?
Definitely is. I've worked on my stand-up, but I've kind of worked on my overall MMA game. I don't want to just turn into just a stand-up fighter. I've worked on everything and blending it all together, and that's more or less what you'll see this fight.
And a follow-up question for you, Phil. This fight, let me make sure I get this right. This fight, people are looking at when you talk about your overall game. Is this a fight that you feel is right for you at this particular time? And if so, why?
I definitely think this is the right fight for me right now. If not Rashad Evans, who else? I don't know how many wins, but 5 wins in. I don't know who else is there left to fight. It's a perfect fight right now.
Okay, thanks a lot, guys. I'll ask my other questions later.
And just a reminder, it is star 1 if you have a question today. We'll go next to John O'Regan from Fighters Only Magazine.
First question is for Mike. Mike, can you hear me?
How you doing, John?
Hi, mate. All right.
I'm good, thank you.
Well, good. Right, so talk us through. You think you're fighting Demian Maia. You get a phone call, and Dana White saying you're going to be fighting Chael Sonnen, and the winner is going to get a shot at Anderson Silva. What's your initial reaction?
Yeah, well, I'd finished my morning workout and I was just having lunch. As you said, I was prepared for Demian, a very tough challenge, and I get a phone call, Dana White. He tells me Mark Munoz has hurt his elbow. Do I want to replace him? And he said, win the fight, I'm fighting Anderson Silva in a soccer stadium in Brazil in the summer. So, it's too big of an opportunity to turn down. I've been training my whole life for this moment. So, of course, I didn't hesitate. The fight with Chael is going to be a tough fight. He's a hell of a competitor. I'm under no illusions. It's going to be tough, but I'm ready. Demian Maia is a very, very tough opponent. So I was, pulling out all the stops, preparing for that fight. And a lot of it crosses over into this fight. And I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay. Give us, in your opinion, the positives and negatives of the fact that you spent most of your training camp preparing for a jiu-jitsu guy, and now you're going to be facing a very high-level wrestler?
Well, of course, if I knew I was fighting Chael earlier, I would have brought in more wrestlers as opposed to jiu-jitsu guys. For the last 8 weeks, 6 weeks or so, I've been working out with, some of the best jiu-jitsu guys and wrestlers in the business, Dean Lister, Jet Shields, and various other world champions. But to be honest, a lot of that crosses over. Demian Maia was going to try and take me down and submit me, I'm assuming, and so the game plan was to keep it on the feet and use my striking. It's pretty much the same thing for Chael Sonnen, I would imagine. So, to be honest, a lot of it crosses over, so I'm not going to make excuses and this and that, or, I've been messed around. They're both southpaws, they're both grapplers, and end of the day, I'm going to go out there and fight my fight. It's not important, really, on what my opponent's going to do. It's about what I'm going to do. And I'm going to go out there, I'm going to fight my fight, and I'm going to win.
Okay, thanks, Mike. And one question for Rashad. Rashad, can you hear me?
Hey, hello?
Hey, Rashad, can you hear me?
Yeah.
You've got to speak clearly, John. It's my experiences going through a drive-through or anything, you have to speak very clearly because you don't have to pay.
Okay, right, I'll try and be very, very clear.
Count your words.
It's about the Bisping and Sonnen fight for you, Rashad. Obviously, you fought Michael, and you wrestled with him and stuff in the fight. How would you rate Mike's wrestling ability, and how do you see the wrestling aspect of the Bisping Sonnen fight going?
I thought Bisping did really good in that fight with his wrestling. I thought that he was very stormy and very hard to keep down. And his wrestler was trying to hold somebody down. That could be very tough. But Chael's a different wrestler than I am altogether. So where I had difficulty, I may not have difficulty, but Mike is a hard person to keep down and try to hold down. So I don't know. Mike has been improving on his wrestling every fight, and I've said that before in interviews. He's gotten better. But Chael is definitely good at what he does, and it's hard to really say who has the advantage when it comes to imposing the game plan.
Okay, that's everything I've got. Thanks very much, guys. Good luck.
I suppose I owe you a thank you, Rashad, although I don't like the word squirmy.
And just a reminder, it is *1 if you have a question today. Our next question is from Garrett Durr from Bleacher Report.
My question's for Chael. Hey, Chael, you spent a lot of time training for Mark, and then you got the word that you're going to be taking on Michael. Were you disappointed in this at all? And do you feel maybe you're at a little disadvantage now that things have kind of changed up with you training for Mark?
Well, I came from a wrestling background. First off, thanks for the question. And secondly, I come from a wrestling background. I never know who's going to show up. My dad and I would wake up early Saturday morning. We'd jump in the car. We drive all over the country to get to a tournament. You show up to the tournament, you don't know who else is going to show up. And then once you do find out who's going to show up, you don't know who's going to win. And the way the brackets advance, you have no idea. You win your match, some guy wins his match, 20 minutes later you're competing with him. So, as far as a fight goes, this game's simple, man. You fight 3 guys a year. That's about the easiest thing. It's about the easiest demand you could put on a guy. Mike's a totally different fighter. He's a great fighter and all of that nice stuff. But as far as opponent changes goes, who cares? There could still be an opponent change. Something could happen to me. Something could happen to Mike. The show must go on.
Okay. And I guess my next question would be, you win over Michael and you're set to take on Anderson. As we know, injuries have kind of been playing a factor in that as of late. Do you feel maybe this is something that's going to keep getting pushed off? I know you mentioned that you feel he's been ducking you as of late. So do you feel this is something that maybe it won't even happen in 2012?
I can guarantee you Anderson Silva and I will never cross paths again. Our business is done. We will not fight under any circumstances, no matter how many rules or fake restraints he puts on it. He's not getting in the ring with me, ever.
So do you think he's going to retire, or what do you think is going to happen?
I don't know if they're going to retire, or if he's going to retire, they're going to retire him. I think the plan was, if I could get past Munoz, and Demian was, or rather Mike was successful against Demian, that they were going to do an interim championship between Bisping and I. I know Anderson's not going to fight. The folks at the UFC know he's not going to fight. I'm all for promoting and marketing and all that good stuff. I don't want to throw water on a perfectly hot flame, but Anderson Silva's not going to fight anybody.
Okay. All right, thank you very much, and best of luck.
I appreciate that.
Our next question today comes from Ariel Helwani from Fuel TV.
Hey guys, I wanted to start off with Chael first. Chael, you sort of threw us for a loop, or maybe it was just me a couple of days ago. I saw an interview that you did with USA Today where you said that you were a Bisping supporter and a fan of his, and I always got the impression that that was the opposite. So has something changed in the last couple of months to change your opinion on Michael?
You know, nothing's changed, Ariel, and congratulations with your new position. I think you're doing a great job over there. I think that's a good pickup that they got you. But secondly, you know, I've never understood, you know, Bisping says he wants a title shot, and people try to say that he doesn't deserve one. And I'm sitting on my couch going, well, he's beat up everybody they've put in front of him. So then the big complaint is, well, he hasn't beat top 10 guys. Well, that's not up to him. He fights anybody they ever ask to fight. He fights big fights. He's never not a main event. If he's not a main event, he's a co-main event, and he gets his hand raised time and time again. And I don't know how you can deny a guy that continually goes out and wins. I'm not delusional. I'm a pretty smart guy. These guys, I got to compete against all of them. But Bisping gets the job done, and for somebody to come out and say that he shouldn't get his opportunity is silly. He should get his opportunity. He's beat everybody. He even went up to light heavyweight to start his career, and he beat everybody there except Rashad, and Rashad's got the greatest record of any fighter in our entire industry. 18-1-1. There's not another guy, not even the fake Fedor, back in his fake pro wrestling days, had a record of 18 wins, 1 loss, and 1 draw. That 1 draw, I might mention Rashad redeemed. So how you could ever deny Bisping? I mean, I'm just not on that bandwagon. I plan to do everything I can do to stop him, but I'm not going to sit here and act as though, you know, the guy's not a great fighter. He is.
And just curious, you said prior, and by the way, thank you for the compliment. You said that you feel as though you can guarantee you will never cross paths with Anderson Silva again. But Michael said that UFC has told him that if he wins, he will meet Anderson Silva in a soccer stadium later this year. What if you win? How can you guarantee something like that if that's the stipulation for Michael? Don't you think the same will hold true for you?
Yeah, I think that they're sincere. I think that they mean it, but I can tell you behind the scenes they tried to put me and Anderson together 4 times, and 4 times he said no. I called him out publicly. You call out a Brazilian publicly, you're going to be fighting that Brazilian. That's in their culture. And he sat there and covered his mouth and hid behind Charles Barkley, which was a smart move. It saved him a trip to the hospital. But Anderson Silva is not going to fight me. I don't believe he's going to fight Bisping. I don't believe he's going to fight again. That's my personal opinion. What I know as a fact is he's turned me down 4 out of 4 times, and he even said no to Lorenzo Fertitta's face. Face to face, not over the phone. Lorenzo brought him out, sat him down, said, this is the fight we want, and Anderson said no.
All right, and just a question for Michael. When your fight with Demian was first announced, and we knew obviously that Chael was on the card, no disrespect to Mark, but a lot of people were saying, gosh, I wish we were seeing Chael versus Michael. Did you feel the same way? Did you think that was the fight that more people wanted to see, and now are you happier with the way things turned out for you?
Well, you know, for me, I'm always looking for the biggest fights possible. A fight with Demian, you know, was a very, very tough test, and he's a hell of a fighter. When they offered Chael Sonnen, as I said earlier, I jumped at the opportunity. I want to be involved in the biggest fights possible, as I said, and this is a bigger fight with bigger ramifications, you know. Chael's widely regarded as probably number 2 in the division, and you know, and people do say that, you know, I haven't been fighting the top guys. Well, here we are. Outside of the champion, this is the number 2 guy, and I jumped at the opportunity. As I said before, I'm in shape. I've got no injuries. I'm on weight. You know, it's all there. You know, if If I win, fantastic. If I lose, a lot of people say, no, you shouldn't have taken the fight, you should have stuck with the original game plan. But the thing is, if I lose, I don't deserve a title shot anyway, so it's all there for the taking. It just depends on what happens next week.
Thank you. And just one more for Demian, please. What are your thoughts on how everything turned out? You were fighting in a big fight against Michael, and now you're fighting against Chris. Also a very tough guy, but obviously not as well known as Michael. Are you pleased with the way things turned out for you?
Yeah, that was crazy. Like in like 2 hours, they told me I was not going to fight anymore. Then after 2 hours, okay, there's Chris. He accepted the fight. I said, okay, good. And I think he's not so known like the other guys, like Chael and Mike, but he's tough, as the guys, maybe not so experienced like the guys, but he's very tough. He never lost. He's a good wrestler. And the thing is, like, I was preparing to fight a striker like Mike, For Mike, he was preparing to fight a grappler, and he was still fighting a grappler. And I was preparing to fight a striker, and then I'm going to fight a grappler. So changed a little bit, but like Chael said, I come from Jiu-Jitsu, and you come in a competition, there's like 60, 70 guys, and you never know who you're gonna fight. Like Chael said, and you it doesn't care. I doesn't care, I just go there and fight.
Thanks, guys. Good luck.
Thank you.
And we'll go next to John Morgan from MMAJunkie.com.
Thank you. If I could start with a follow-up to Demian Maia, please. Demian, you talked about it being a different stylistic matchup, completely different for you. How do you make the adjustments in that short period of time, or can you even make the adjustments, game planning-wise and preparing specifically for him?
I think all my life I've been fighting against grapplers. I came from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so it's just come back to my roots. To fight, Mike was going to be different because he's a striker, but at the same time, I don't have too much time to make the adjustment, but Chris doesn't have also time to do everything properly. So we are in the same line.
And Demian, Chris is obviously a newer fighter in the division. How familiar with him were you when you were approached? Had you watched his fights before, and what were your impressions of him as an opponent?
I already saw him when he fought, Tom Lawler, like in November, I think, and I was pretty impressed with his submission. So, I was looking at him and watching him, and so I was not surprised when they said I was going to fight him. I knew already who he was.
Great, thank you. If I could ask Mr. Weidman as well. Chris, obviously this is a huge opportunity for you, but you don't get a chance for a full camp going into what's probably the biggest fight of your life up to this point. What was your thought process when the opportunity came up to take this fight?
Chris, I think you got the mute button still hit, brother.
You guys hear me now?
Yep, we hear you.
I guess my cheeks are still too fat. I got some more weight to cut. But anyway, yeah, it was when I got the phone call from my manager, it was, I just thought it was such a huge opportunity. And at first, he told me that I was probably going to be fighting in March or April, that they weren't going to put him on this next card. I guess he was going to get pulled off type thing. And I was like, absolutely, that's a huge opportunity. And, obviously I called my coaches and, they're all on board and we're confident with the whole fight and the jump up in competition. And then they called back and said, Maia really wanted to fight on this fast card. He didn't want to, get taken off. So at that point, within the half an hour between the two phone calls, I became so, pumped up to fight Demian Maia. I didn't care when it was. So when they told me I was going to fight him in a week, I was like, well, you know what, let's do this. I have a lot of respect for him, and I'm excited to get out there and, test myself.
And Chris, was there something in this particular matchup? I mean, it would seem that his style would kind of play well into yours. Did that encourage you to take the fight, or would it have mattered, if it was a striker or if it was a different kind of opponent?
To tell you the truth, I don't think it would have mattered. I just think it's such a huge opportunity. You know, we only live once. Some people never have opportunities like this given to them, and you know, who am I to just throw it away? So I was going to jump at this opportunity no matter who it was. I really, in my mind, this is truly the first Fox card. You know, there's three main fights on this card. The last one was, you know, just a one-fight thing. So this is history in the making, and I'm just glad to, you know, be a part of it. I wasn't going to let someone else jump in there and take that opportunity. So, you know, it's good stuff.
Great, thank you, Chris. And one final question for Chael, please. Chael, some people are saying that this matchup is stylistically an easier matchup for you because of the type of game that Mike brings in. I know you said you don't care about the change of opponents, but how do you see the comparison? Has the fight stylistically gotten any easier or maybe more difficult?
Well, no, I mean, I would definitely resist that fact. You know, I've never had an easy fight in the UFC. I've also never had, you know, a harder fight. I will prepare, you know, I leave the gym when I can't even stand. I leave the gym when I'm completely exhausted. I leave the octagon when I'm exhausted. I always hear fighters say, or I always hear pundits say, you know, a fighter looked tired. He shouldn't be tired. Well, yes, he should. You're out there and you're in the middle of a fist fight that you're getting paid to do. You should feel like you got hit by a freight train when it's over. I will go out there and I will use every single bit of energy I got, regardless of the opponent. And if that's enough, I'll win. And if it's not enough, he'll win. But there is no easy fight. There's no hard fight. You give it your all every single time.
Great. Thank you all.
Our next question today is from Tom Go from fifthround.com.
Hi, my questions are for Chael. Chael, I just wanted to clarify, were you given the same guarantee that Michael was, that if you did win, you'd fight Anderson in the stadium in Brazil?
Prior to fighting Brian Stan, yes, I was. Prior to coming off of my timeout that California put me in, yes, I was. Was I given that guarantee yet a third time? Yes, I was. Do I believe it? Not in the least.
Are you worried about fighting Anderson in an arena that large in his homeland?
No, I mean, I don't fight Anderson in Brazil. I don't fight him in Chicago. I don't fight him in Las Vegas. I fight in the octagon. They can set that son of a bitch up wherever they want. I'll be there. When my music hits those speakers, I'll make that walk regardless of the city.
And can you clarify, why do you think Anderson's not going to fight again?
Because he sucks.
Okay. And do you think his shoulder and recent back injury are legitimate?
You know, I tend to believe him. I think if a guy says he's hurt, you got to believe him. You know, only he knows. It's not. I don't need an X-ray or a doctor or anything else. If a guy says he's hurt, he's hurt. I think it's a little fugazi that he claims that he's hurt, and then we see footage of him live sparring with Vanderlei Silva. I think it's a little fugazi that he claims he's hurt. I got my friend Mo Lawal out in Brazil training with Machida alongside Anderson Silva. I think these things are peculiar, but if a guy says he's hurt, it's enough for me.
Okay. Thanks, Joe. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Just a reminder, it is *1 if you have a question today. Our next question comes from Franklin McNeil from ESPN.com.
Okay, I'm going to turn my attention to you, Chael, and Michael. But with you first, Chael, I know you say Anderson sucks and he'll fight again, but why don't you think he won't fight you, particularly if you've had 3 offers and each time it's been turned down?
Well, let's keep track. It's been 4 offers.
4, I'm sorry, 4.
And you know why he won't do it? I can only begin to guess. You know, I'd like to pay myself a compliment and say it's because I stomped him the first time and I'm going to stomp him worse the second time. The reality is maybe he just doesn't want to do it. I really don't know, and I don't want to guess. He's not on my radar anymore. You know, I'm moving on. If I become the #1 contender and can get past Bisping, I'm going to sit down with Dana and we're going to have a talk about GSP or John Jones. But I'm not under any illusion that it's going to be Anderson Silva. As far as I'm concerned, I wish it would have played out the way it was supposed to. If Mike would have gotten past Demian, which would have been hard to do, if I would have got past Mark, which would have been hard to do, then Mike and I would be fighting for the true championship. You can call it the interim championship, but when you only got 2 guys with the most to fight, you got to call that the real title fight. So, as far as my life goes, I think Mike and I are about to fight to see who the real champion is.
Okay, and my second question is for both you guys. Both of you are known for for taking it to your opponent orally before fights. But both of you seem to not be doing that now. Is it just a matter of respect? Why are you guys kind of like toning it down orally toward one another? Chael, you can go first, and Michael, you can take it second. I don't care.
Well, I don't know that we're doing that. The fight just got announced. I mean, this got sprung on us. I don't know the timeline, but I want to say about 3 days ago. This is my first media opportunity since the fight got announced. So, it's first things first. Before you go pick on Michael Bisping, you got to get ready for Michael Bisping. And he brings a lot to the table. And, so I'm in the gym and I'm focusing my energies elsewhere. But at the same time, this is my first opportunity. I really haven't had a microphone in my face or anybody to talk to. And, I don't know that I've pulled the reins up on him, but I also don't think Michael Bisping behaves like a coward. I don't think he carries himself in a shameful way. I don't think he wears pink T-shirts, earrings, and crooked hats. I don't really see a lot in the guy that I don't like, so I'm not going to go out and make something up. On the 28th, I'm going to go out and do my job, and if my skills are good enough, I'll win, and if they're not, then God bless him.
Hey, Michael?
Yeah, well, for me, it's pretty much the same thing, I mean, as Chael said, the fight was only made a few days ago, and I've got to put all my energy into preparing for that fight. A lot of people, on Twitter and stuff are saying, oh, it's such a shame, we haven't had, 8 weeks of trash talk and whatnot. But, that's not important. The important thing is the fight. And as I've said, Chael is an amazing fighter. I think I'm a good fighter too. Next week is going to be a hell of a fight. Forget the trash talk. Forget all that. Tune in for the fight. That's the important part. January 28th, Fox TV. You're going to see one hell of a fight. And who cares about the trash talk?
And I have one more question. It's for Chris. Chris, we all know that Demian is an A-level jiu-jitsu guy who's been working on his stand-up and has been improving, particularly his boxing. Do you think you on the other hand, very good boxing, very good stand-up, and very good jiu-jitsu skills, do you think people have not yet had an opportunity to see what you can do on the ground? And do you think one of the advantages you might have is your well-roundedness as a fighter?
Yeah, 100%. Especially my stand-up. So far in the UFC, I haven't really got to showcase that yet. This might be one of those fights where I do. It might be one of those fights where I don't. But I'm an MMA fighter. I'm a wrestler. I'm always gonna start the fight obviously standing. And takedowns are there. I'm gonna get my takedown, and I'm always gonna be looking to pass. I'm always gonna be looking to look for submissions, no matter who I'm fighting. So it's pretty much the same deal with that. But I'm excited to show off, everything, and obviously everyone has a lot of respect for Demian Maia, as do I, especially with his ground game, and I'm excited to see where I fall with that. So.
Okay, thank you, guys.
And we'll take our next question from Kevin Richardson from the Baltimore Sun. Mr. Richardson, your line is open.
Yeah, can you hear me?
We hear you.
Okay, and this is for Rashad. Rashad, how different has it been preparing for this fight with the Brazilian gym versus the Jackson gym?
Oh, that's a great question. I've been wanting Rashad to answer the same thing.
It's a little bit different in respect to the fact that we do a lot of jiu-jitsu, of course, but I mean, more than anything, Mike Van Aars is the head coach, so we make sure we still stick to, the fundamentals and things that I'm good at. One thing I learned a lot as far as competing in the sport is never get too far away from what you're really good at, your bread and butter. I mean, I can't say I can't become a drastically better stand-up fighter than I am right now, but I never can forget where my discipline lies and where I'm strongest at. So with that said, I do a lot of jiu-jitsu, but my focus is still on my wrestling.
Awesome. And this is for Chael. In the light of a number of fighters over the last several months been testing positive for PEDs. What do you think the UFC needs to do to eradicate that from the sport?
Well, I'm not sure there's a lot that they can do, and I don't know that there's a lot that get popped in our sport. One thing that we do a good job of in our sport is we test guys. You know, you've got all these other sports that don't ever test. We test guys every time, every show. And I think there's a tremendous misunderstanding, and I went through this myself. Illegal versus banned. There are plenty pages, phone book-sized pages of perfectly legal substances that you may possess, you may ingest, you may have right in front of a police officer that are still banned for the sport. And that's where the big confusion comes in. Guys are getting booked for stuff, and they're going, wait a minute, that's illegal? I had no idea that was on the banned list. So I think something that fighters need to do more than the UFC is educate themselves on that. Illegal doesn't just mean illegal. There's a banned list, and that list is extremely sensitive, all the way down to Tylenol and caffeine. And so for a guy to test positive for something banned, let's please make sure that we understand that doesn't mean he took anything illegal. And the real trick is it changes state by state. You know, what's good in California is not good in Las Vegas, or rather Nevada. What's good in Nevada is not necessarily good in Chicago. So fighters really need to be proactive, take that into their own hands, you know, and make sure that they understand. Just because you buy it at GNC or just because a doctor gave it to you doesn't mean it's not banned. Banned and illegal is not the same thing.
Great answer, Chael. Good luck, guys, and hope to see you guys on Saturday.
Thank you.
And moving on, we'll take a question from Eduardo Martello from Univision Radio and Univision.com.
How many times did you have to practice saying that name before you read it out loud?
Chael, how many Portuguese lessons have you been taking so far?
Several, my man, several. We can do this in any language you want.
Okay, later on we'll do it in Spanish, which is my language.
Fair enough.
Okay, the question is for Rashad. Rashad, now that you've been training with the Blackzilians in Florida and you have a few guys, how big do you think your gym and your group will become inside the UFC, inside the MMA world?
I think that, you know, with our hard training and stuff like that, and with the athletes that we got, I think that we're going to start to make our mark in the sport. You know, one thing that we do is we work really hard in the gym, and you know, when you work really hard in the gym, it shows in a fight. But you know, more people start to take notice, and more people want to come on board when people start getting more successful, and they hear what we got going on in South Florida. So I expect our group to grow pretty much a lot.
Okay, thank you, Rashad, and Chael, good luck on Saturday. Actually, tomorrow. I'm sorry.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. This one goes down.
Our next question today is from Ariel Helwani from Fuel TV.
Thank you, Ruff. I had another question for Rashad. I just wanted to know, Rashad, what your reaction was when you heard that John Jones said that he wanted to come back sooner rather than later. And for a moment, did you think that, you know, here we go again, I may not get a chance to fight him, they may book him against someone else, et cetera, et cetera?
You know, that's up to John. You know, John is the champion, and right now he's on top of the world, so I guess he gets to make those choices. I'm trying to get to where he's at. So, you know, with that said, you know, I don't own any spot. You know, I've had the privilege to be, you know, said that I was the number one contender a couple of times, but I'm still yet to fight for the belt. With that said, you know, if, you know, the UFC has another contender they want to put in there, you know, to make the show go on, then that's by all means what they have to do, but that does not stop what I'm going to do, and that's going to keep on winning. And eventually, no matter what, I will get a title shot.
And for Phil, it seems like every time Dana White talks about this matchup, at least now, especially since Henderson turned down the fight against Little Nog, it seems as though if Rashad wins, he will be the number one contender and he will face John, but they are not yet committing to you being the number one contender if you beat Rashad. Does that bother you at all?
Nah, not at all. Pretty much after I beat Rashad on the 28th, they won't really have anything else to do with me other than have me fight Rashad. There's, Rashad is the true number one contender, and after he loses, who else do I fight? The champion.
There was some talk that maybe Dan Henderson would get the shot.
Yeah, to get Dan Henderson, yeah. That actually works perfectly into my plans. I take a little rest. Hendo fights for the title. Whatever happens with that, cool. I'm up next.
Phil, let's just get this straight. You ain't beat me. You ain't beat me, dog. That's and you know what? It can't get here fast enough because I'm gonna smash you, dude.
It's about time. I was falling asleep there. Come on.
No, he ain't ready, man. He ain't ready. He know he ain't ready. He look in his eyes and see he ain't ready. Just a boy.
Huh.
It's a shame, I was kind of thinking like, no, you really shouldn't be too concerned about that title shot because that's just one of those things. It's not going to be for a little while, okay? You got a little while. You got to worry about a title shot. It's not going to happen this time around.
Hey, we're gonna see what happens when them lights hit you. When you walk out and that crowd is roaring, we're gonna see. We're gonna see what kind of man you are. We're gonna see what kind of fighter you are. Because I know you ain't a fighter. I know you like to compete.
But it ain't
when you get hit in the mouth. When you get hit in the mouth, things change. When you get hit in the mouth, things change. When you got hit by a little knob, you didn't know what to do. When I hit you in the mouth, you're gonna feel it.
Oh, okay. Ooh, that's scary. Ooh, that's scary.
Mr. Helwani, any further questions?
Actually, yes. I just wanted to ask Rashad a follow-up. Considering that some people have said Phil doesn't have the resume that you're surprised when they booked you against him, do you think that he is someone who deserves a shot against you?
Yeah. I mean, come one, come all. It don't matter who they put against me. I got to beat them all the same no matter what, no matter how they stack them up. So if Phil's next in line, Phil's next in line. But, the fact that this kid really thinks he can beat me kind of bothers me now.
What do you mean when you say that he's not a fighter? What are you trying to say there?
Look, there's some people that will fight if they weren't getting paid to fight. And I'm one of those people. Phil is not one of those people.
You're absolutely right. I'll be pushing the pen. But since I get paid to fight, looks like you next.
All right, well, there's a difference with the mindset. You're going to find out what the difference of the mindset is.
But the difference in mindset is that I have multi.
You're gonna find a difference in mindset. That's all I gotta say. You're gonna find a difference in mindset. And right now, you can say what you want to over the phone, but when we get in that cage and you can't get out, we're gonna see how you feel then.
Oh no.
And I'm gonna remind you too. I'm gonna remind you under your own power, Rashad. I'm beating your face. You're gonna be walking off just like when I was smash with your arm over somebody. With every shot, when I'm on top of you, I'm gonna remind you with every shot what you said. Remind you with every shot what you said.
All right, guys, this is Dave. I'm jumping in. That's the end of round one between Evans and Davis. And we are going to go ahead and wrap up today's call. I got to be honest, guys. I had a lot of fun with today's call. UFC on Fox, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific from the nearly sold-out United Center in Chicago, Illinois. It'll be 8 p.m. Pacific. Again, 5 p.m. Pacific. On Fox, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Don't miss that. And then tonight, ladies and gentlemen, UFC makes its debut on FX, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Melvin Gillard against Jim Miller in lightweight action. All kinds of good news today. Tickets for Strikeforce in Columbus on March 3rd are on sale now. They start at just $25. It's H.E.A.T versus Ronda Rousey for the championship. That's going to be a great fight. And also some really cool news. UFC 143 will be available live and in 3D in over 100 theaters across the country. Tickets are on sale now for that at UFC.com/3D. Want to say thank you to everybody who joined in for today's call. Rashad Evans, Phil Davis, Chael Sonnen, Michael Bisping, Demian Maia, and Chris Weidman. Thanks again to the media. We will see you later tonight in Nashville, and then on to Fox for UFC Evans versus Davis from the Chicago United Center, January 28th. Thanks again, guys.